Hi, Dr. Bonitatibus. So
Good
I'm
morning.
Stuti, and I'm an editor-in-chief. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and congratulations on being editor-in-chief.
So for our print issue, we're doing a cover story on social and emotional health during distance learning, and I guess what FCPS and TJ is doing to help during this time. So if you're ready, can we get started with the questions?
Sure.
Okay. So, one of the first questions is, what do you believe are the biggest gaps in distance learning over the range of students?
The biggest gaps in distance learning over what?
Over the
Can
range
you,
of students.
what does that mean? Can you explain a little more? What do you mean by the gaps?
Like, I guess versus in-person schooling and online, like,
Ah,
what is the difference?
sure. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Um, well, first of all, I believe that it's just the personal connection that people are able to make, where public education is a human resource rich endeavor, and we thrive on being able to see each other and interact with each other and grow over the years with each other. And so we have that interrupted right now. And I think that can be difficult. So that is the first thing that I think is a major gap. The second would be the opportunity to have authentic learning experiences. So and by authentic, I think I'm meaning more hands-on. So particularly, in our labs or the kind of collaborative work that you do in a classroom, and everyone can be working on something and adding something physically. That aspect certainly is missing. And then beyond just the in-person aspect, I think a subset, an important subset of that is the connectivity that goes with being in person. Because even though we are connecting uh, virtually, I don't think that it's the same as having someone next to you where you can have that quick interaction and feel as if that person is there with you.
So like, what do you think the biggest gaps are between students? Because like students also have like different modes of learning and like different ways of learning. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think the biggest gaps between students would be?
Sure. Hmm. Well, as you point out, certainly the learning styles, they're and what's really interesting right now is that we do have some students now who are saying, wow, I didn't know that this would be a mode that would be conducive for me. Because some students say, this works better for me than being in person. And particularly for TJ students, you don't have to worry about the hour and a half commute in the mornings and the afternoons. So maybe you're getting a little more sleep, maybe your day is a little less stressful. You do have actually a longer time period for lunch, and even in between to kind of stretch and move and do some different things. So I think people are finding out new things about themselves as learners, and for some students who perhaps tend to be more introverted, this kind of environment can be a comforting one, because you don't have to worry about people seeing you and interacting with you and the jostling in the hallway. And then on the other side, for those who are extroverts, this can be really hard because you thrive on the commotion and everyone being around you.
Are there any initiatives that the administration is undertaking to support the class of 2024?
For the class of 2024, well, our first initiative is finding the advisors for them. I know as of a couple days ago, we didn't have it. So that's top of our list to make sure that our newest class has their advisors. Um, I will give all the credit in the world to the IBET team of teachers, because they are the ones who have done so much to plan what I think are really fun and engaging kind of activities, whether it's it's a virtual scavenger hunt kind of thing, or finding ways to have different groups of kids mixed together. That's really important. I know counselors are redoubling their efforts to really get to know the class of 2024. I know that it's also important to me that 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 they will have an opportunity to have a voice in the kinds of activities that we want to plan while we're in this online learning environment. Just talked to SGA the other day, and for those who are current students, grades 10, 11, and 12, you're kind of like, okay, gosh, we're upset that we don't have homecoming, but we'll just delay it maybe till February or March and do something in the spring, because you already know what that's like. But the class of 2024 doesn't. And I don't think they should go until the spring to have that really fun school-wide type of event and energy. So the other day with SGA, I said, look, I'm 100% supportive. If you want to come up with some activities that can be done virtually and that can build, school spirit, let's do something this fall. So I think that would be something that'll really help bring the freshmen in.
So like along with the gap between students and learning, is the school currently doing anything to support students with learning disabilities?
Oh, absolutely. Any any student who happens to have an IEP, Dr. Dubin made sure that he worked with the teachers so that way they could have access to those IEPs, so they would know, so teachers would know, what kinds of accommodations would need to be made in the classroom. Dr. Dubin is working one-on-one with teachers, talking to them about ways to make accommodations or adaptations in the virtual environment. We know that for some students, they do better with perhaps a different type of computer, or maybe even they need to have that textbook in their hand as opposed to having it online. So we've done some different things where we've made sure that we've gotten some resources in students' hands.
How do you feel about the TJ Small Groups initiative that SGA is doing?
Is this the TJ box?
Like the small groups where you can join,
Right.
like other, oh, okay, it's called TJ Talk. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Sure. They came to us initially with a proposal, and concept-wise, I absolutely love it. When we kicked off the start of the year, though, we told them we just don't have the capacity in the first couple weeks to have it up and running. With adults being part of it right now, we're just trying to figure out how to teach, and have back to school night and all these other things. And so SGA was very understanding. They said, we get it. We know that we can move forward in some other ways. And so I really respect and admire students for taking the initiative to say it is important for us to be connected, and we can create those spaces for each other, and we probably can do a better job of linking people with common interests than what even the school could be doing. And I think that's important when all of you know the space where you can do something better than what we can do it, and that you have our support and our understanding.
So concerning teachers, is the school doing anything to support teachers who are also taking care of kids at home?
Okay, I'm sorry, it cut out a little bit on my end. Can you say that again?
Is the school doing anything to support teachers who are also taking care of kids at home?
I would say that the schedule that we have is very, very conducive and family friendly, and in certain ways, because we are able, again, to make sure that that a teacher, when they are not assigned a class period, they have that flexibility and opportunity to be able to tend to whatever is happening in the household. And so we are not saying to teachers, we're checking in on you, you better be online, you better be lesson planning or eating or things like that. Of course, our teachers are being held accountable during the time that they are assigned to students, but then they have, I think, a lot of flexibility right now to be able to tend to the family matters.
So these are most of the questions we had in relation to the social and emotional health. So I guess other people can ask any other questions they have now.
Yeah, well, and just so you know, I'll just put in a plug that we are addressing social and emotional health and wellness through the advisory periods, our homerooms this year. So we are going to plan 2 times a month to have various lessons and activities relative to social and emotional wellness. We're going to use some FCPS resources. We're also going to use some of our challenge success resources. And then we will continue to work with the PTSA and other groups on I would say, mental wellness initiatives.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.